Hey everybody, John Compton here. Welcome to Localite. Today on the show I've got a really talented guy. He's a photographer, now living full-time right here in the Columbia Gorge. His name's Michael Peterson, and I'd like to introduce you to him. Michael, welcome.
Glad to be here.
It's good to see you again.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, well, I've been excited about having you on the show. I've been looking forward to just sitting down and visiting a bit. So let's get people kind of caught up on who you are as a photographer and where you got your start. So let's kind of go back to the beginning. Tell us a bit about that.
Oh boy, I think I bought my first Nikon 35mm way back in the late 70s, and I just was in love with it. You know, of course, the yearbook photographer. The darkroom was such a magical place. You know, I still love the smell of the chemicals you use to make a picture, and I just fell in love with it back then. I shot action sports. I loved photographing portraits. I did all kinds of stuff for the yearbook. I think I did my first wedding in like 81 or 82, something like that. Yeah. So, dark rooms. Yeah. Are they still used? You know, there's still a group of people that love film, and I personally went all digital 10 years ago and never looked back. The ability to work so much faster, you can accomplish so much more, and I got to tell you, I get better results than I ever got with film with these new digital cameras and the new ability to use like Photoshop. So my darkroom is now my office, sitting in front of a computer. You know, I miss it sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, the watching your print come alive in the developer, and then you know, spending all that time in there and cutting the paper and everything. But you're just able to do so much more now. I do everything in Photoshop, and that's the new darkroom.
Right, right. So up into the 80s, or in the early 80s, it sounds like you started doing weddings, and then how did things progress from there? Because I know you have some significant history in Hollywood as well.
Well, yeah, I kind of went from stills to moving pictures. I graduated from Eastern Washington University, and then about in 1988, I moved down to the LA area, and I spent almost 20 years down there. The last, you know, primarily what I did down there was I was a visual effects compositor.
What's that?
Well,
it sounds important.
For example, on Independence Day was my first feature film credit. You know, the one where if you actually
the
watch those names
and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Yes.
If you watch the names go up at the end of the movie, one of them's actually mine. So.
Really?
That was the first credit I got, and I put spaceships in the sky. You know, like the big destroyers were coming over to blow up New York City. I took the model that they had photographed, you know, in a studio, and then the actual background of New York, and I married the two together, put in clouds and things like that. That's digital compositing, is putting those elements together.
Okay.
I did a squadron shot. There's one where you know, Will Smith gets in his fighter plane, and they go out to meet the destroyers, and they all get blown up. And there's a shot where they're all flying together, and I took computer-generated airplanes, model airplanes, clouds that were made out of cotton, clouds that were made out of a bee smoker, and put it all over a real picture of a sky, and brought all those elements together, all those layers together, and made it look like it was real.
That's amazing. So,
yeah.
How long does something like that take to do? Like for that sequence, how much time do you spend on that?
That one I probably spent a couple weeks on it, and it ended up being a couple seconds. The longest shot I ever did was for Armageddon, that Bruce Willis movie, where and I got to blow up New York City.
That's the one where they like go up to space to stop an asteroid or something like that? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was a really fun movie, and I did one shot where it's at the beginning of the movie where some smaller asteroids are coming down and hitting New York, and everything's blowing up and things are flying all over the place. And I did one shot where a dump truck is actually flying down the middle of the street, and it actually comes right and smashes into the camera, and that's your transition point. I spent 3 months on one shot, and I think it was about 5 seconds long, and when it actually got in the film, it was about 3 seconds. So I spent 3 months on 3 seconds of film.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Why so long for something that's only going to be so short? I mean, are you literally adding every little twist and turn and movement to what's happening?
It's amazing to work at that quality level. I guess why is because you can. You know, the budget is there. They're making these beautiful works of art now that, you know, it just takes that long to put together the elements. You know, you're dealing with film, which is going to be projected on a 40-foot screen, so the detail and the resolution has to be really high. So the rendering times take a long time, and you know, it's just, that's how long it took to put all those elements together. I took, you know, models that were shot and catapulted by an air cannon. I took, you know, I had a tire that was coming through the frame too, and I worked with a CGI artist who created computer-generated smoke to trail the tire as it came down. I had people on green screen that were, you know, on wires rotating and falling, so you have to erase all the wires, and I made it look like somebody was falling out of the cab of the truck. So you just add all those elements together, and it can take a really long time.
Yeah, that just sounds very, very tedious.
But
but a lot of fun at the same time.
It really was. The feature films were artistically really fun, but they were laborious. I mean, you'd be on a feature for a year or two. I did a lot of commercials where the time frame for a television commercial is usually 3 days to, you know, maybe a couple weeks, and then where you really got to express a lot of artistic freedom was in the music videos. I did a ton of music videos from Kid Rock, Pink, Linkin Park.
No kidding.
And those were a lot more. You don't spend 3 months on a shot there. You spend 3 hours or maybe a day putting those together.
Okay.
But creatively, you know, the budgets are low, so they just kind of give you the stuff and say, make something cool.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to take a break here in a second, but I wanted to, before we go, was it Hollywood and then the Gorge?
It kind of was.
Okay.
I moved from the Northwest, spent 20 years down there, and then I came back to this area.
Okay, well, cool. I want to touch on that a bit when we come back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.